Yeah, we are actually talking about these two chapters, chapter 102, Surah At-Takāthur, and chapter 104, Surah Al-Humazzah. Let's start with the first chapter, which is a one paragraph chapters, and all of those one paragraph chapter, and all of those verses are very well related together. They're all connected, and we can talk about it when I'm explaining all of those verses one by one. And you can see that there is no second actually paragraph in it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhaakum at-Takāthur. Boosting and flaunting distracted you. Al-Hakum means being distracted by something which is not important and something else which is very important. We are distracted of that. Very similar to a kid. When kids are playing with toys, they might be distracted on their food and they stop eating and stuff like that because they are playing with their toys and they are distracting something else. Like when we are doing the cooking and this stuff, if the phone start calling, when we are busy with the phone, we are distracted of our food and then we may burn it and stuff like this. It means al-hakum. Al-hakum means being distracted from something very important and being busy by something which is not important. So it seems that this verse is going to tell us about a fact which is among people in our society, and it's related to all of us, not only a small group, but maybe in different levels. Some people have this kind of illness in a lower level, some people have it in a higher level. And that sickness is being distracted by something which is not important. What is that thing? Based on this verse, this is takathur. Takathur means showing off, showing all of those things that I have in a higher level and keep talking about it and being proud of it. I have this, I have that, and boosting and showing more all of those things that I have. I like to collect more, but also I like to show them in a in a higher level from that reality of those wealth or whatever that I have. Like those people that they have a very expensive watch, they want to show it like this, and they keep moving their hand because they want to show that watch and tell people that, oh, look at it, I have such an expensive watch, or like the other things like the cell phone, like their clothes and everything that they have. They like to have the expensive one. They like to have luxury things, but also they like to show it in a higher level. And it's boosting and flaunting. They want to show it more and they want to be proud of it and they want to have a competition with the others about that. This is a sickness, and this is still among people. I can say all of us, but maybe in different levels, maybe about different things. Some people are proud about their job and they start talking about it. I have such a job. It's like this, it's like that. My salary is like this, or I have a house like this. And this kind of stuff, which I'm sure you are familiar with it, specifically with these social medias that people like to take a photo from everything that they do, from all of those activities that they have in their life, even their food, like a travel that they go, and all of those things. They have many photos of it and keep posting it in the Instagram, Facebook, and everything to show more about all of those things that they like to have and show it more and more. And specifically with this kind of a social media, it seems that this sickness is gonna kind of even increase, and it's even worse than what it was before, and probably what that we had it before. It was in a lower level, but now it's increasing, and people are doing it very much, and this chapter is gonna talk to us about this kind of sickness, and it's trying to solve it. So it says, Al-Hakum at-Takāthur, you are being distracted by boosting and flaunting, but there are something which is very important and you are heedless of that thing. We can keep reading and we will figure out what is that thing that we should be careful about it, but we are distracted from that. That is at the end of this chapter. But the point is, people are distracted and they are busy with boosting and flaunting in how much level? Like, is it only about the clothes? Is it only about like the job, house, their kids even, or like the education, or all of those things that they have? Is it only about this, or is it only in this level? Next verse is going to tell us something which is very shocking, actually. And it says, حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرَ, until you visited the graves. It's not only about all of these things that we have, it's even about those things that we had before or our fathers had before. Like my father had this one, or my grandfather had such a house, had such a garden and stuff like that. And it means graves, which means the graves of all of those things that you had before. This is one interpretation for this verse. Another interpretation is that people keep talking about whatever that they had until they went to the graves and they said that we have such a graveyard for our family. And like from this part to this part, this is the number of the graves for our family and this stuff, which is very ridiculous and very shocking. Like it's this very weird kind of a illness that even people are proud of the number of the graves. I remember the first time that our professor were explaining this part, I was like, maybe this kind of interpretation is not acceptable for this verse. Maybe it's kind of a misunderstanding. Is it possible that people be proud of their grave, of their family, like, and talking about the funeral and this stuff? You know, they talk about everything that they have and even about like the funeral. Okay, my uncle died and we had such a wonderful funeral for him, and such a dinner we served, and with a very nice grave and this kind of a stuff. I was like, is it possible really that people being proud of these things? And when I was thinking about this, exactly at that second, one of the students in the class told our professor that this is the story of our family. Like a few days ago, we had some guests in our house and they were talking about we have this and like we have that, and my son is working in that company, and we have this house and this stuff. She was talking about all of this, and then she said that we have a specific family graveyard which is very nice and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, now I am absolutely I got it, I understand it, and I can accept this kind of interpretation for this. And then later on, I read a quote from Imam Ali alayhi salam, which is in your book. I didn't prepare it. I can send it for you in the group. Remind me if I forget. That quote is actually about this kind of interpretation. And it's saying that this is very shameful that when you are encouraged in Islam to go to the graveyard and even do the washing, ghusl for the dead bodies, this is because we want to encourage you to be reminded by the death, to be reminded by the day that you are gonna be in a grave and this stuff. But you are even boosting and flaunting about the graveyards. We told you to go to the funeral, to be reminded by the dead, to think about that one day you are gonna leave this world and this stuff. But you are even on that place talking about the graveyard of your family and the number of the graves that your family had, which is very shameful. I will send you this quote, which is very interesting. The first time that I hear this interpretation, it wasn't really acceptable for me, but later on, I found out that there are really this kind of a people, and this sickness of the boosting and flaunting is increasing, and it's going to be in all of the aspect of their life, even about the graveyard of their family, which is very shameful. And the graveyard, specifically in Islam, we are very encouraged to go to the graveyard and think about the dead and go to the funeral to be reminded that one day you're going to go to the grave, one day you're going to die. And it's not only for the others, it's also about you and this stuff. But people doing this kind of crazy stuff, even about the graves. So, is it acceptable in Quran? Of course not. The next verse is telling us that كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. Definitely not. All of these worldly things that you are proud of it and you are talking about it and you want to show it, they are nothing. And this kind of attitude that you have, it's not acceptable and definitely not. Kalla, which is definitely not, it's for rejecting all of those bad habits that it was described in the first and second verses to tell that this is not acceptable. You will know soon. سوف تعلمون, you will know soon. It means when you die, you will see everything. You will see that all of these worldly things that you were so proud of it, they were all nothing. Next verse is actually repeating the third verse with a summa to,
Saida,
yes,
may I ask you a question here, please?
yes, of course.
When you were talking about distraction, ألهاكم التكاثر,
Okay.
and then you're talking about you visited the graves. I think that it's not until, it's even though. I mean, ألهاكم التكاثر, and on top of that, you visited the graves. So it's, is it until, or is it even though you visited the graves?
Maybe even though would be also a good translation for it. Hatta means that level. It's telling that you are doing this. Hatta means until you reach this level. You
Ah,
are
okay.
doing it until you reached a level. Hatta is that meaning. We may use hatta specifically in Persian with another purposes, and we have a different definition for it in Persian, specifically in Persian. But hatta in this verse and in Quran means that level, that ultimate level, that you are
Yeah, I
doing
know.
this until you reach to something. That is the like the ultimate level of it.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
حتى in Arabic it's
Yeah.
until.
Yeah.
But I mean in this in this context, it can be as well, even though
Okay.
oh yeah,
I
you were
will think
distracted
about
in a
it.
such way, even though you this is what I understood from your explanation now.
Okay. Good.
Okay,
Good
thank you.
suggestion. Thank you. I will think about it. We are still working on the translations. The translation is not complete yet. So if you have any suggestion, let me know. That is nice. Thank you. Yeah, and the fourth verse, it says again, definitely not, you will know soon. It's actually repeating the previous verse to emphasize on it, to emphasize that this kind of habits that we describe it in the first and second verses are not acceptable. God is rejecting that. And then it says at the fifth verse, كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين. Again, another kalla. So there are three kalla in three verses because it wants to rebuke this kind of illnesses, boosting and flaunting in a high level. Like this is not acceptable at all. Definitely not. If you knew with knowledge of certainty. This if, which is a translation for law is a شرطیه امتناعیه, which means we say if, but that if is not actually gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. If you knew, but we know that you are not gonna have the knowledge of certainty. So that is actually the accurate translation for law. If you knew, but we know that you are not gonna have the knowledge of certainty. What is the knowledge of certainty? علم اليقين. As long as we are in this world, we cannot see hell and heaven with our eyes directly. But through reading Quran quotes and through the talking to the scholars, and we can have a knowledge about the other world. We can have a knowledge about the hell and heaven. And in this way, we can have a actually understanding of it through our inner eye, through our heart. This is ilm al-yaqin, which we can see something, but not directly with our eyes, not with our vision, through our heart. We can have a knowledge of it and we can see it, but not directly. This is ilm al-yaqin. And it's still, God is telling this kind of a people who have this illness that you don't have the knowledge of certainty. And if you had it, لَتَرَوُنَّ الْجَحِيمِ, you will surely see the hellfire. You don't have the knowledge of certainty, and if you had it, you will be able to see the hellfire. Even if you are in this world, you can see it now. And if you see this hellfire, you will not do those boosting and flaunting anymore. ثُمَّ لَتَرَوُنَّهَا عَيْنَ الْيَقِينِ. Okay, you don't have the knowledge of certainty. You cannot see it with your inner eye. No problem. You will die. Whenever that you died, whenever that you died, you will surely see it with the eye of certainty. This is ayn al-yaqin, with the eye of certainty, which means you are in this world, you cannot see it because you don't have the knowledge of certainty. You cannot see it through your heart. But whenever that you died on the other life, when those people went to that hellfire, then they can see it directly with their eye, with the eye of certainty. Ayn al-yaqin is something that we have a direct vision of it. And because these people don't believe in hell and heaven and this kind of stuff, when they died on the other side, then they can see it directly. They'll be directly in the hellfire. And on that situation, ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. On that situation, then on that day, you will surely be questioned about the blessing. This is actually the main heal and the main step of God healness for this kind of sick and bad habits. It says that on that day you're going to be questioned, and this is a replace for that habit. They believe that everything in this world is important, and they have a worldly ideology, and they are boosting and flaunting wealth and everything, but they have to notice that they are going to be questioned about all of those blessings that God gave them. God gave them many blessings, they are happy with it, but on the other life, they are going to be questioned about it. All of these blessings bring us actually responsibilities. And we learned it in Surah Al-Fajr that when we are this kind of a blessing, it means that we are responsible about it. And these are all exam for us. As long as we are in this life, if God gave us wealth, I don't know, job, house, kids, whatever, that we like them and we are proud of them, and these are blessings from God. These are all responsibility for us, and we are going to be questioned about them on the day of resurrection. We are going to be questioned, what did you do with those things? Did you only use them to show it to people, to be show off, like, and for boosting and flaunting and for this stuff, just keep talking about them and even showing it in a exaggerated way to say that, okay, you have this house, but you are talking about it to actually showing it in a higher level of the real actually value of that house, and also about the other blessings. God is warning us that all of these things that I gave you, these are all bringing you responsibility. And if you don't believe in it, if you cannot have the knowledge of certainty in this life, it doesn't matter, because you will see it with the eye of certainty one day. If you don't have ilm al-yaqeen, the knowledge of certainty, you will see it with the eye of certainty. And all of these blessings these are only for exam, and you are responsible about them, and you are going to be questioned one day. This was actually this chapter, first chapter that we want to talk about it, and this is now very clear for us that the illness and that sickness, which is the reason that God sent down this, is boosting and flaunting and showing off and being proud of the blessings that God gave them, and they are heedless of the responsibility about those blessings. And God is rejecting this kind of bad habits, and God is rebuking them and telling them that you are responsible for them. Those steps that God used in this chapter to heal this illness was warning them, rejecting them by three kalla, definitely not, definitely not, definitely not, and then talking about the hellfire and telling them that you are going to be in it one day. And you will see it with the eye of certainty. And on that day, you're going to be questioned about all of those blessings. So these were the steps, and the main point in this chapter that God wants to emphasize on it was rebuking the people for boosting and flaunting. So I'm going to stop the recording for this part.